One of the benefits that's starting to emerge from this project is it's another tool or method that could be used to gather some more detailed information about community values that can stand alongside the methods that agencies are already using. It's not designed for big groups, but it can be used to target groups that we're either hard to get or where we're not sure of what the values are, and then that's where it can work. And the idea of the mapping, particularly, the mapping seems to stimulate people to ignore the uniforms and the issue and focus on the values that we're after, either about fire or about the environment. The other advantage it has for us is, particularly for agencies where we're not doing a lot of education and engagement activity, it gives us a structured manner where our staff can talk to people and get those values in a less confronting manner and in a way that forces them to listen more rather than be defensive.
G'day, my name's Damon Ezis. I work for Fire Management in South Australia. I was one of the people that helped deliver this method on the ground in the Adelaide Hills peri-urban landscape. We began the project by advertising in local community notice boards across that landscape in autumn 2012. The interview questions or the conversation we had was based on three components, one being the values that they held within their landscape. And we asked questions about where they recreate, where they leisure, spend their leisure time, what they value, why they choose to live there, which involved trees, flowers, birds, the whole suite of the landscape. The next component was based on how to prepare for fire and how they manage their landscape. So a lot of people mention that they routinely mow their lawns, clean their gutters, check pumps are working, and quite a few demonstrated post the interview showed me around the house and showed me how it works. And the third component was based on their experiences with fire, both bushfire and prescribed burning. And some people were quite new to the landscape, so they didn't have many experiences, but some people had been in the landscape for quite a long time and had experienced several bushfires. The interview exercise involved people drawing on a clean piece of butcher's paper their landscape, and this was a really good vehicle for people for me to start the conversation and for people to refer back to and highlight these values. The insights for me, it really highlighted the perception that people hold within their landscape, and it gave me a greater understanding of these values and how people interact with the landscape. Some of the key findings included how to engage and communicate key messages to a diverse community, since there was a different level of understanding amongst it. For example, people living in a small block near the town had a lesser understanding of fire preparedness and behaviour compared to their counterparts that lived and surrounded the town in a larger block. Another key learning was what the community really valued and how we can incorporate that into our fire management planning processes. For example, the mapping exercise highlighted to us that people in the community really valued birds, and we really need to incorporate that into our thinking. Another thing we found were the commonly held values between us as an agency and the community. The exercise and the conversations we had with the community highlighted that the community was concerned with weeds, and as an agency we need to promote our weed management programs and how this relates to fire.
It's interesting to see, we realised the need to get in and do the community consultation sort of side of things to get an idea of what community perceptions are and those sort of things. So this approach, it's an area we haven't looked at before, and it looks like a useful approach for trying to develop those different ways of getting perceptions within the community about fire risk, and it might help us to develop ways of communicating what we're doing so it's better perceived in the community.
I can see this has value in terms of with particular communities who might be at risk in terms of fire planning, fire engagement activities, perhaps even when a burn is happening or pre-burn. And look, I think it's quite exciting. Visually, I think a lot of people can relate to maps, and history can be mapped on it, people's learnings in the past. I think it's a great process, and I'd certainly like to try it in our region.
I think the philosophy behind how people learn and their community knowledge was really important from the workshop, and I'll certainly take away that we need to communicate a whole story to people. We just can't present them with information and expect that they're going to learn off that and take that on board.
I found today's workshop really helpful and really interesting in trying to understand how people use mapping to interact with memory and ecology and social. As a fire management planner, I will be using the mapping particularly to understand how we can better address risk in terms of what the people see out in the public, as well as what we see as fire managers.